So Sales Mastery Workshop. I think Richard, this is your first. Jan, is your first one of these, or I think you might have been to a previous one, but it's basically one of a series of 6.
It's the first sales workshop.
First sales workshop. So there's 6 in the series, and we cover self-mastery, sort of time management, finance, team mastery, customer, sales, and marketing. So the first thing I want to just be clear with today is this isn't about the lead generation side. There's a marketing workshop, which is all about getting a lead in. This is very much about that conversion of that lead. You know, how do I take an inquiry that's shown some interest and actually convert them? So you do need to sort of do the marketing and the sales sort of, you know, together really to get the whole picture. But what I'll do is I'll probably move into a little bit of marketing, because I know it sort of relates to where both of you are, because it isn't just a marketing and then sales. You know, it's a seamless process, but they are two distinct, in my book, disciplines that you've got to master, and you've got to understand the differences between them as well. So we've talked about sort of what you want to get from the workshop. So a brief overview of, you know, going back to the basics, and a refresher of, you know, what are some of the things I really should be thinking about when I'm building a sales process that is going to convert as many clients as I possibly can. And I think if we go back to the real start of this, we have an action, our system called the 5 ways. So there are 5 ways to grow a business. A lot of people think about, you know, I need more customers, I need more revenues, I need more profits. These are just results of other activity. So the number of customers we have is a combination of the number of leads that we generate, which is marketing, how we convert those leads, which is sales. Yeah. How often do our customers come back to us? So that's account management. And across the board is our average transaction value. So can I sell more? You know, can I upsell, cross-sell? Can I sell more to my existing client base? Okay. So this is really sort of account management, keeping our clients and making sure they buy as much as they possibly can. Lead generation is marketing. Is that how do I get more leads? And converting those leads is sales. So this is the one we're going to be concentrating on today. Okay. So, but if you don't break it down into those sort of 5 fundamentals, then what can happen is you get a bit confused as to what's marketing, what's sales. You tend to recruit the wrong people with the wrong skill sets, and you can get yourself in a right old mess as you go through. So I always start all of my workshops with this little formula, because it is so relevant in everything that we look at. So in order to be successful in sales, yeah, we need to be a great salesperson, or, you know, be able to build a great sales process. We need to take action. We need to follow that process. We need to do great sales, and then therefore we can have sales that we want. So have is our dreams and our goals. B is our attitude, knowledge, and skills, and do is our the plan that we're going to do and the action we take. So I always ask people, you know, which of those 3 for success in sales to happen do you think is the most important? So Richard, what do you think? Is it the B, the do, or the have is the most important for success in sales?
All of them. I don't think you can't have any of them without all of them.
You need them all, but one for me is always, you know, is probably stronger than the other 2.
For me, it would be probably then the have, the dreams and the goals.
Dreams and the goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jan, what about you?
Okay, so I'm taking it as a given that this salesperson has the right attitude. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So for me, it's plan and action. Actually
getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
but like what Richard said, it is all 3. You can't, you know, pointless having a plan if you haven't got the right attitude or the knowledge and the skills, and, you know, why would you even bother if you haven't got the dreams and the goals?
Yeah. See, for me, the starting point, and the one thing you do need to have is the have. Okay, so the people with clarity around the goal of what they're trying to achieve are the people that generally go and achieve it. Yeah, if you don't have a big enough have, or you're not got clarity around what you want to achieve, then how do you know what level of attitude, knowledge, and skills you need, or you're going to do what it takes to actually achieve it? And I find a lot in sales is, when I see sales teams in their early days, they're actually quite good. They do the action, they're learning. There's a sort of a hunger to achieve it. Once they've achieved a certain level of success, then they take their foot off the accelerator, and then they start to coast. And it's not because they don't have the attitude, knowledge, and skills, or ability to plan and act. It's purely because no one actually increased their goal. If you look at in the sporting world, if I was winning at a county level, in my chosen sport, and I was winning every single thing in there, then I could actually sit back and say, oh, great, well, I'm Hampshire national champion. That'll do for me, thank you. But in sport, it's quite easy to take a look around and go, well, actually, perhaps I want to be the Southern champion. And once I've won the Southern Championship, then it's a case of, well, now I want to be UK champion. Once I've won European Championship, so UK, then it's European. Once I won European, then it's world. And then it's obviously the drive then would be to win an Olympic gold medal. So there's always something bigger and better within sport that that you can achieve. In business, we don't have those externally set goals. We have to generate them ourselves. So the first thing we've got to do and really understand is how to set our goals within business. And, we've got to understand really what our sales goals are, because that is a starting point for who do we need to be, what do we need to do, and, to some extent, who do we need to employ to actually achieve that. So give a little bit of an example. Is my little example of, let's say a typical business. 2019 we had sales of 2.6 million. We'll ignore COVID for this. I did all this before COVID, so ignore things like that happening. But 2019 we did 2.6 million sales and we made 290,000 profit. 2020 3.2 and profit of 380. So if we were setting the 2021 goals, what would you sort of, as the owner of this business, Richard, set as a goal for this business based on what you see there?
Yeah, see, it's different. Like, because we're doing this, we grew 50% each year, and then we sat back and said, where do we want to get to? And we've set ourselves a business size that we want to get to. Rather than the revenue, it's actually the size of business that we think would be optimum for us. So that we're slightly different. But I would just go back to what you want out of it. So it might be 3.2 million. That might be the best size. It might be going down and just make more profit from less revenue. I'd have to know more about the business, I think. But definitely, it's all what the owner wants out of it at the end, or what the team wants. Yeah.
Exactly. It would be a lot about, not just because a lot of people would just say, okay, well, I've done that there, so this would naturally be 3.8 million, 4 million, and 500,000.
Yeah.
So then base it based on what's happened in the past. So let's just put a little bit extra. So I've been into companies that I said, what's your sales target? And they gave me a number. I said, well, okay, that's interesting. How did you get to that? Oh, it's 2% more than last year. Well, it's not really a sales target. It's just a figure you've plucked out of the air, and you've just, where did 2% come from? Oh, well, we've got to do 2% because that's what inflation is. So, well, that's not really a sales target. It's not a goal. It's not, if you go to your sales team and say, that's what we're going to go for, I mean, they might be relieved, but none of them are going to say, wow, how the hell are we going to do that? That looks like an exciting thing to go for. So the way that I think we need to look at goals within our business is to actually, don't start at that level. We've got to break it down. we've got to start looking at this in more detail and saying, right, so how did those figures that we've got, how did they come about? So if we took this sort of, these type of companies here, we could say, look, we've got 1,800 existing clients. Last year we grew by 160 clients. We've got 427 active clients. They spend an average of £5,000 per year. They buy 1.3 times. That gives us our revenue. With our gross profit percentage and our overheads, that gives us the 380. So now we're starting to break this down into its component parts. Now we're in a much better position to start setting our sales targets. So we could look at that and then say, at 2021, can we get the number of clients that we're adding, from 160 to 200? We've got loads of old clients that we need to go through those and clear some of the old ones out, and delete some, actually remove some clients. We don't need them anymore. So actually our growth in clients is the same as it was last year. It's just the ones we are more active. Otherwise we're wasting time with people that are probably never going to buy from us again. And then can we get some strategies here to reactivate some past clients? To get clients to come back and buy from us more often? And we get ways to actually increase average transaction value. So if they're spending 5,700 at the moment, if we push 6,000, what can we do to actually increase that? We get our clients to come back more often. And so we suddenly start looking at these numbers, and we start increasing each of them and thinking individually, what could each of these do? And then we recalculate them. We end up here, if we just did those things, we'd actually end up with 5.4 million. So suddenly we're thinking, hang on a minute, if I'd said at the start, we're going to go 2.6, 3.2, 5.5, everyone would have thought we were completely mad. But by breaking it down into its component parts, we start to see that actually none of these are actually big improvements. They're not massive changes that we can do. And as long as we can think as a team what the strategies are going to be to actually achieve them, then we've got a chance of making it happen. So if we're just approaching sales as just a one-figure increase, then to me we're coming at this in the wrong way. We've got to understand where our sales come from. So how much of our sales comes from existing clients? So if I did nothing in the next 12 months, how much money would I make? Because that's almost like that's banked. That level of income is actually already in the bank. But if I then add to that new clients, so what is my marketing able to bring in leads? What's my conversion rate of those leads? How much do they spend with me? Then I can start setting my, my bigger sales goal. So we've got to start looking at, really know our numbers. What business is coming from existing, what's new, what do people actually spend, how many leads do we need to actually generate that, what are my conversion rates at each stage in the process. And then we have a concept of what I call leading and lagging key performance indicators. So a leading is an activity-based KPI. Okay, it's about what do I actually do to achieve something. It's the thing that I'm in control of. A lagging is the result of that activity, and I'm not always in control of it. So I do a bit more about this in the marketing because it's generally where it comes. But let's go back to telemarketing, Jan. Now, the only thing that I'm in control of in telemarketing is how many times I dial the phone. Mm-hmm. I can't control whether a prospect is at their desk, is going to be in. I can't control whether they're going to be interested, whether they're going to be busy. I can't control of those things. What I can control is how many times I pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. So in sales, and this is a little bit of marketing, and so I say marketing is generally it's a numbers-driven activity. I do this number of posts, I do this number of phone calls, I send this number of emails. Yeah, those are all sort of marketing generating strategies, which are basically activity-based. and then we come into, actually into the sales side of it. That's more of a taking somebody on a journey from, being sort of slightly interested in what I do through to the ability to sell. And I'll go through more about the stages in that as we go through this. Okay, so before we even think about a sales target, we need to break down how our sales, our current sales revenues are actually generated. And then say, right, well, from that, I've got my account management side of things. So I need to nurture my existing client base. But when we're coming to new business, it's how much marketing do I need to generate the number of leads? And then the sales then kicks in after that. Okay, so today is about the sales part of it. The marketing workshop is about the marketing and actually how we generate those leads. And when we set our goals, we've got to make sure they're SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and within a time frame. When people say to me, oh, what's your sales goal? Oh, I want more sales. Well, what, £1 more sales? 10 million pounds more sales? What specifically? And really, when it comes to sales, it's a numbers-based game. You've got to set a number for it. If you set a number and a time frame, then you're going to be smart. But in addition to that, you also want to make sure that it's inspiring and emotional. That it actually, you think it's worth going for. It's exciting enough to actually try and achieve. And if you're managing a sales team, it's vitally important that you keep them interested in the game. Okay, because sales and marketing is the majority of it is rejection. So if you're getting rejected a lot of the time, you've got to make sure that when you do get accepted, that the reward overcomes all of that objection. Otherwise, people will get disinterested and start switching off. And I tend to call that the smartifying of goals, because I don't know if you remember back in the day, used to shake the Smarties and say Smarties have the answer. So goals, if you've got goals, then you've got something that you can aim for. Any questions on that? Because it's a different way of looking.
In general, Kevin, when your clients are setting their goals, are they setting revenue goals, profit goals? Are they setting number of sales, number of repeat customers?
I generally would always start with a profit. Okay. Because the main purpose of a business is generate profit. If you're not generating profit, then why are you playing the game? So we'll have a 5-year goal target, and it's a lot, because a lot of my clients we're building to sell at some point in the future, and therefore they've got in their mind an amount of money they want to sell their business for. So let's say it was £1 million they want to sell their business for. If I want to sell my business for, I've got to be making around about £250,000 profit in order to get a 4 times multiple to get my £1 million. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my ultimate goal target is 250,000. Now that's probably, potentially 5 years down the line. So then we'd work that back to what the profit goal for the next 12 months is. And then from that profit goal, we'd then work back up and say, right, in order to get that amount of profit, we need that amount of gross profit, that amount of overhead, and therefore that amount of sales. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what I would call bottom-up budgeting. So we'd create a budget based on that base figure. Often, though, and certainly in early days of a business, the profit and the sales figure are so interrelated anyway that you end up just with a sales figure. I want £1 million turnover. Because we know that once you get to £1 million turnover, you're going to be worth around about £250,000 and you'll sell for about £1 million. So it sort of doesn't matter, but fundamentally, you should always be looking at the profit figure. Otherwise, you just become a busy fool. We've doubled our turnover, but we've halved our profit. Well, we haven't moved forward at all then.
Yeah. Your suppliers will be happy.
Yeah. Well, everyone's happy apart from you, because everyone's being paid more, but there's nothing left at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, that whole adage of turnover is vanity, profits reality, cash is king.
Yeah.
So really, you have to look at all three. You've got to look at your cash position, your asset position within the balance sheet, your profit, and your turnover. You shouldn't just look at one of those. You've got to look at it in the whole. But once you've understand that, then we generally come back to turnover, because if you don't have a turnover, you don't really have the profit. Okay, so number one, you've got to set your sales goals, your sales targets, and you've got to break it down and not just say we need more sales. It's right, how much new business, how much existing business, and therefore really break it down to, right, so we need this many leads, we need this conversion rate, and therefore almost down to a daily, weekly level, this is what would be acceptable. Because if we're playing a game, what games do you like playing, Richard? Any sports you play?
Sports. Yeah, I like windsurfing, but that's a sport. Games, rugby, I suppose, but I haven't played it for a while.
Okay, so if you play rugby and you played a game of rugby, but you didn't know the score until 3 months after you'd played the game,
Okay.
how much fun is rugby?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now sales is a fast-paced daily activity game. So I do this today, and I want to know, have I won my game today? So ideally, in any role in a company, but especially in sales, you want to be doing an activity and getting a result almost in the moment. So did I play my game well today? Yeah, did I win? Now, a lot of people then think, oh yeah, but if I do that, we don't always win each day. Well, that's a bit like going back to rugby and saying you get really disappointed, you want to give up rugby if you don't win every time you go out. When you play sport, you know that you're not going to win all the time. So losing is actually not a bad thing. It's a learning opportunity. So why did I lose today? Now, what went wrong? What could I do better tomorrow in order to actually play the game better and try and win tomorrow? And that's what keeps the motivation going in anything. We don't expect to win every time. We want to have the best chance of winning. Yeah. And then if we do lose, I want to know why I lost, so that next time I go out, I can try and be better. And that's fundamental for yourself if you are the sales machine, but as important, if not more important, when you're trying to manage an actual sales team. Because the danger is they come back, they haven't made any sales, and the first thing you do is shout at them. Okay, and then you end up with a bit of a toxic relationship with your sales team, or no one actually picks up the fact they haven't made any sales, and you leave it for 3 months, and then at the end of 3 months you then have a moan, but by that time it's too late to make any adjustments. Okay, so if you ever go into an organization that is a real sales-based organization, I mean, it is totally sales-led, there's a team chat first thing in the morning that pumps people up. There's a midday review, and then there's an afternoon celebration, and that's every day. If we're going to play the game every day, then let's play it as if it was a game of rugby we were playing every day. And that's why measurement in this is so important. If we can't measure it, we can't play the game. So we need as quick, instantaneous measurements as we possibly can. So not always. I mean, some sales take longer. So some sales processes are 3 months long. Okay, then it has to be based around that. but we still want to be knowing on a daily, weekly basis, weekly tops, whether we've actually won that game that week. So that's really about the importance of goal setting. Now we move into the B and the do. So for me, the B is a lot of it can be around our beliefs. Okay, so people's beliefs generally drive their actions. So if I believe this to be true, it can drive a certain type of action. If I believe this to be false, it will drive a different type of action. So when we look at sales, and for a lot of us, we're not natural salespeople. I know, Jan, you've probably been in sales and been doing sales for a fair while. Where Richard, you wouldn't probably class yourself as a salesman, I'm guessing.
No, not in the slightest. No.
So again, if you believe that you're a salesperson, then it generally drives you to do more salesy stuff. If you don't believe you're a salesperson, I'm a technician, I understand other aspects of this, I'm not really a salesperson, then it can drive a different set of actions. But first sort of question then is, do you think sales skills we're born with them, or do we learn them?
Definitely learn them.
Definitely learn them.
For me, in my experience, I was taught those sales skills.
Yep.
I was naturally always a people person.
Yep.
I like talking to people, and people like talking to me for whatever reason, typically. But yeah, I was taught all of the sales knowledge and skills that I have.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Richard?
Yeah, no, I think they are learned, but you have to have be the right personality to begin with. I find it very difficult. My personality is avoid conflict, and I don't like the negotiation part of sales.
Yep.
I just give up. I'd not give in.
So,
I give in.
Everything that you've just said, Richard, that's me.
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody who likes those things.
Right.
And sales isn't conflict. It doesn't have to be like that. I think that's just like what Kevin said about your beliefs and your mindset. I think that's just all that needs is a change in mindset. Speaking to you very briefly, just during this call, straight away I've warmed you. You seem a really nice guy. I'd buy from you. I think all it is just it's a change of mindset.
Yeah. Don't you think some people are sort of just better at it naturally? They thrive on that, on doing sort of the salesy stuff, and other people. I'm okay at it. I'm not as bad. I'm not as against it as some people, but I do feel that there are people better than me at it.
And this comes back, as Jan said, this comes back to beliefs. If you believe you're good at it, what do?
Yeah.
You do more of it.
Yeah.
If you believe you're bad at it, what do? Less of it. If you do more of something, do you get good at? Do you get better at it? Yeah. So if you think about these kids here, generally speaking, kids of this age, are they good salespeople?
Good point.
Yeah, we're all
100%, because they don't give a shit, do they?
Brilliant. Are they persistent? Do they keep nagging until they get their way?
100%.
Are they fearful of conflict? No, we're all born with the attributes that we need to be great salespeople. It's just some of us choose a certain line that takes us away from doing that on a regular basis, and some of us, do it more often. So when I came into coaching, I'd spent 20 odd years in accountancy, and I've never sold anything to anybody. And suddenly, I'm now a coach, and I've now got to go out, and I've got to go and sort of feed myself. So I've suddenly got to say, oh, geez, now I've got to learn how to do sales. Thinking, well, I'm not a salesperson. All the things you said, which I don't like conflict. I don't like upsetting people. All these things. Okay. Now, no, nobody really deep down. There are some people out there that seem to think that they enjoy upsetting people and they love conflict, but no one really enjoys it. It's just that they become more resilient or better equipped with the skills that they need in order to move it forwards. And that's really what we've got to start to believe is, look, we've got to have the belief that I've got the inherent ability to sell. Because if you don't believe that, then you're not going to go very far in anything. If you don't believe deep down you can do it, then you probably won't do it. But if we believe that we can do it, we have to do it, then we've basically then got to learn the skills to actually do it as well as we possibly can. And there's 4 stages of, in this learning process. First stage is we call unconscious incompetent. So most people are unconsciously incompetent about things. If they don't know, they don't know.
Yeah.
So they've never tried it. I've never had to do it, and therefore I don't know if I'm any good at it or not. Now, is that a nice place to be?
It's okay.
It's a lovely place to be.
Yeah, it's a lovely, exactly.
You don't know it, yeah.
Yeah. Blissfully unaware. That's why being a youngster is so nice, because you just don't know all the things that we know as adults.
Yeah.
But then we sort of see something we want to do. So let's take sales. I need to sell, or I want to sell. And we move up into this box here. We move into the conscious incompetent box. So now I'm consciously incompetent. So I know that I'm not good at it. So what happens when I'm in this box? How do I feel now?
Yeah, that's just full, what's it called? Imposter syndrome, isn't it? That's that.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I know that I'm no good at it. I can blag it, and that's when imposter syndrome comes in, is because I'm really good at blagging it, but deep down I know I'm not good at it. But if I'm consciously incompetent, and this is a bit of an uncomfortable stage, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got a choice. Yeah, I can either move forwards and learn to become consciously competent. So I start learning, or can I go back to here? Can I go back to unconscious incompetence?
Yeah.
Once you know something, can you unknow it?
No, you can't go back to that,
No.
can you?
So you can't physically go back. So what happens is people who are in here go into what we call below the line mentality. They go into blame, excuses, and denial. So there's always a reason why they're not doing what they should be doing. I didn't do my sales today because this happened. Yeah. Or I didn't know I had to do that. There's always an excuse, a reason, or they're blaming somebody else. And we call that below the line mentality. They haven't taken ownership of the fact that they have everything in their power to actually move over here. But this now is going to take effort. Making excuses, blaming other people, or denying something takes no effort at all. And actually, it's one of our defense mechanisms. If somebody comes in and says, have you done this? The first thing you do if you haven't done it is suddenly think, right, who can I blame? Because it can't be my fault. I'm hoping that happens for you as well. It's not just me that goes through that. So when I'm asked those things.
No, we're fighting with my daughter at the moment to try and get her out of that, because anytime she does something wrong, it's always our fault.
Yep. And I guess where she learned the skill of blame, excuse, and denial. You taught her really well, Richard. You taught her really well. Okay. So we need to move over to this conscious competence. Okay. Now over here, now I'm consciously competent, so I can do it, but it takes effort. I'm still learning. So it's a bit like the driving lesson. Mirror, signal, maneuver. Oh damn, what order was it? changing gear, crunching gears. So it's hard work. So this takes quite a bit of effort. If I get to this point and go, do you know what? I'm not willing to put the effort in. Where do I go?
Sorry, if you are prepared to put the effort in.
I'm not prepared to put the effort in. So if it comes a bit difficult and I go, do you know what? I can't be bothered with actually learning this new skill.
You'll just probably stay incompetent for the rest of your life.
You come back here, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore you can't go back here. So you just make excuses. Oh, I never liked sales anyway.
No.
Sales in my industry doesn't work. You can't sell in my industry. So you basically, you give up, or you blame it, make excuses. What you want to be able to do is push forwards to then it becomes an unconsciously competent thing. So now I can do it with my eyes closed. This is like driving a car, now I can do it, and I can say, I can listen to something on the radio and drive the car. I can talk on the telephone and drive a car. I can also, I'm doing it at such a subconscious level now that, I've still got brain power to do other things.
Jan, which square are you in?
So I was just thinking about that. So I think a lot of the time I'm unconsciously competent.
Okay.
And actually, I don't think I give myself enough credit for that, but since you've asked, Richard. But then there's times when, despite what I know to be true, I still doubt that it is true. Mm-hmm. And I still sometimes think, you mentioned imposter syndrome. I sometimes feel like I've been playing that my whole life.
Yeah.
So on the great days, I'm unconsciously competent, but then there's times when you have those doubts set in as a small business owner. It's on your head, be it, and I think that's part of the reason why personally I get those self-doubts hitting me. It's just a worry thing, I guess.
I think there's an interesting point on, because coming on to my next point really was, okay, so let's say I'm unconsciously competent now. Okay, so I know I can do this, I'm good at it. What happens if I stay in this box?
Well, yeah, you'd stagnate as well. You still have to keep.
But I think you can get quite complacent.
Exactly.
That you reach those targets that you've set yourself, and I think without constant review, and I think that's part of why I'm liking working with you, Kevin, is because it's making me constantly review my thinking.
Yeah.
And my targets and how I'm performing to those targets. Again, as a small business owner, it's quite difficult not being answerable to anyone. And I think when you get to that level, unconsciously competent, from personal point of view, it's not resting on your laurels. You just kind of, I don't know, you just think it's going to keep coming. I've done all this hard work. It's going to keep coming, but it kind of doesn't.
Are you a big Formula One fan, Kevin?
I used to be. I'm not anymore, since I think I stopped in when Nigel Mansell retired.
Okay, so a while back. Right.
So, I love. I mean, I do like motorsport as a whole, but it's the same thing. In sport, there's always another season. There's always competitors coming up behind you. So there's always that drive. If I stay here, I'm actually, if I get here, I'm actually not here. I'm actually here.
Yeah.
I'm unconsciously incompetent of what's next. What's the next level? And your point there, Jan, of saying, well, am I good enough? Is actually, if you turn it into a positive thing, it's not, am I good enough? Is what else is to learn? What's next? Because if I stay here, I go backwards. Formula One, if I stay at this level, I go backwards. In tennis, if I stay here, I go backwards. Masters, the people that are really at the peak of their game, know they're actually not here, they're here. So what's next? What's next? What do I need to become consciously and competent at? Because human nature is actually staying in any one of these boxes is not good. Continual movement between the boxes is where life is. If you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah, if you're not growing, you're stuck in one of these boxes and you're going backwards. So the key to enjoying life, and also success is to know that when you get to here, right, what's next? What do I need to learn next? How do I get better than the best version of me that I've got?
Yeah.
And that's when you look at true mastery in any sport or any discipline, is that's their thinking. Now it's easier in sport because you tend to have visual cues of what's next. Obviously, this is a business, but also it's a sales workshop, and I see so many salespeople that get into one of these boxes and they just sort of stagnate. They just stay, and it's like, well, I did £1 million of sales last year. Great. So how are you going to do 1.5 this year? Oh, I don't know. Well, if you don't push yourself, if you don't look and see how you can do more, you can do more, you can do more, then where's the fun in that? Now, every sportsman out there is, when they go out on the field, they're trying to beat their personal best. How many salespeople go out there trying to beat their personal best? They didn't know what their personal best is because they don't measure it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with you guys, because sales is only part of your job, your business people as well. You'll have an element of this, but then there's other things to do. But if you understand this cycle, when you do start getting dedicated sales teams, then you see the signs of where they are and know how to keep moving them forward, just as you would if you were coaching a sports team.
So what you've just said there, Kevin, that actually gives me so much reassurance. It quells those little voices going, oh my God, you should be doing more, blah, blah, blah. Because actually, you've hit the nail on the head, and I'm never happier than when I'm learning more about, different things that are happening in the industry and, the different areas that I can be expanding into and increasing my knowledge base. So yeah, again, just like it's reframing your thought process, isn't it?
Yeah, because the whole process is, we think, we feel, we act.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't stop thinking. You can't take a thought out of your head. So if I said to you, Richard, think of a pink elephant, you can't not think of I've put a pink elephant in your head. You have to think about it. So, and people go, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that. I shouldn't be thinking that. Why am I thinking negative things? Well, your brain you can't stop your brain thinking things. What you can start to work with is that thought driving a feeling. So if that thought is a negative thought, drives a negative feeling, which then drives a negative action, that's when you're in trouble. So if you get that negative thought and you can put a filter there and go, oh, that's an interesting thought. Why would I be thinking that? That puts a filter in so that you don't then go straight into feel and act. If you get the thought and you don't catch it in time and then get a feeling, all you've got to do is another thought that says, oh, that's an interesting feeling. What? Just before a sales meeting, you're going in and the butterflies are going, oh, geez, why am I feeling nervous about this? As soon as you can catch yourself with that feeling, then you can stop the reaction that can then lead into a negative, lead into negative action. You can put things in place that says, right, okay, so I need to get into a better state of mind to drive a positive action. When I got to a stage where, in the sales process, when I got that nervous feeling, because I used to go into big multi-million pound organizations have to do a presentation, and I feel a bit nervous because I don't do many multi-million pound. I think, oh geez, these people are multi-millionaire, multi-million pound business, they must know far more than I do, but after a while I realized that they actually they don't know, they know nothing. They've got probably a bigger knowledge in a smaller area. So when I got that feeling, I would just have to catch myself going, look, you know more than enough to hold your own in this meeting. And then it stopped that sort of stuttering and that that nervousness that you can have when a negative thought drives a negative feeling. So if we look at sales as a skill that we can learn, believe that we've got the inherent ability to do it, and then we've got to learn the skills to actually put it into action. That 10,000 hours concept kicks in. If you want to be a really great salesperson, you've got to do 10,000 hours of sales and sales training.
Wow.
Okay, which is full-time for about 5 years. Okay, now, if you're running a business, are you spending full-time, in sales? No, you're not. So you're probably looking at 10 years. But it always gets me that how many salespeople are continually learning new sales skills. I most fall into it, and because they've got a natural something, a natural belief, or they're an outgoing type of person, is they actually feel they can do it. But they do basically 1 year of training, and then they repeat that 1 year 10 times. So that's the baseline they've got. 1 year of, I've got to, I can learn some stuff, and then they go, right, well, I've got enough knowledge now, I'll continue to use that. So it's that sort of thought that if we want to be great at any discipline, then we've got to keep learning, keep developing, because there's always, the world is always changing. I got into Zig Ziglar many years ago, and he's fantastic. A lot of his stuff was probably great in the 70s and 80s. It's not so easy today, but there's always one thing from these books that you can pick out. I'm rereading. We've got Brian Tracy's Psychology of Sales, one of his. And I read that probably 12 years ago, and now I'm rereading it, thinking, oh yeah, that's where that came from. That's why I do that. That's that. So these things stuck in, but there was so much of the book that I didn't even remember I read, because you're at a different level in your development, so you pick up different things.
Which one of these would you put as the top?
I'd probably say a better way of putting it is where would you start?
Okay, where would you start? There we go.
I personally like Brian Tracy. I think he's got a nice style. So I would say anything Brian Tracy related is really good. So I mean, there's two here. The Psychology of Selling is really good. It's a good fundamental one. I would start there.
I'm reading. I don't know if you've read Influence.
Cialdini.
That's one. Yeah.
Really, that's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a heavy read.
Yeah, it's and we've got Getting Past No in our office. My business partner's been telling me to read this for years.
Yeah,
is that a good one?
Yeah. I don't. It might be the same author actually, because they sometimes.
You've got it on the top left of your screen there.
Oh yeah, Getting Past. Oh, okay, you've got that one. I haven't read. I just nicked this off the YouTube 20 sales books, so probably read. I probably read 80% of them.
Right. Okay.
Or certainly you read something from them. So, I mean, the reality is that there's more books on sales you can ever read in your lifetime.
Yeah.
you'll find an author that you like, you relate to, but generally they tend to write about the same thing over and over again anyway, just in a slightly different way. So it's always good to find something new. The Challenger sale was really good. So that's a slightly different way of approaching it. But I'll show you in the second half, Richard. You'll have to get the recording, but Tom Hopkins, he created a sales process that I love. For me, it works. It's simple, and I can replicate it. So I tend to use that a lot of the time. So you find something that works for you, and then you can build on that. So,
Jan, have you read any books that are?
So the only actually one that I've read on here is the Napoleon Hill one, which is probably like the oldest book out there.
Yeah.
But like I've had like lots of sales training over the years.
Yeah.
Most of the books that I read, Richard, are more kind of like motivation type of books and kind of like lifestyle rather than, business areas of business, which I should read more of.
No, I'm the same as you.
Yeah.
But it does come back to, look, your roles are a little bit more general. So having a general knowledge in lots of areas is important.
Have a good evening, Beth.
Some of this is, if you do want to do a little bit of work on sales, then great, read a couple of books on sales this month and then move into finance the next month or marketing. As business owners, we've got to have a general view. When we've got sales teams and people dedicated sales, they should be reading, lots of sales books. And continue to improve their skill sets. And I think that's just the thing that I've found, talking to a lot of organizations, is it's not a requirement of the role to actually self-improve. They go on a health and safety course and a first aid course, but when was the last sales training they did? So continue on the B, and going back a little bit to the inherently we're all great salespeople, is we have a system that we've been using, Action Coach has been using it for many years. I've been doing it for over 15 years now. And we use a behavioral profiling called DISC, DISCS. Okay. So it basically categorizes your behavior into one of 4 types. So we've got task focused, outgoing people. Okay. So outgoing is extrovert, people who speak before they think. What's on their mind comes out of their mouth. Task focus is a logical, analytical type of person. So these are our dominant drivers. These are determined doers. They get things done. I's are influencers. So they're outgoing people. They like to be on stage. They like the sound of their own voice. They're very good at inspiring people to come their way. Now we go into more reserved, more thoughtful people. So people who think before they speak. So they internalize more. These people externalize. These people internalize. So S's are stable, steady, supporting people. Okay, and then we've got our C's, who are cautious, conscientious, calculating. So very logical, task focused, and reserved. I do a little bit more on this in the self-mastery, time mastery, because it's part of sort of time management and working on yourself. But so that's really, we've got sort of outgoing, D's, task focus, influencers, supportive, steady people, and correct people. So if you looked at this and said, who makes the perfect salesperson? What profile would you say would make the best salesperson?
Well, to me, it would be like a doer. I think a doer is really important. Yeah. Yep. With an element of outgoing nature. Yep. But then, I look at myself on this, and I've got bits in every square.
Yep.
I'd
So
say, yeah.
What's your thoughts, Richard? If you were advertising for a, let's say, a classic salesperson, which box would they? What behaviour would you be looking for?
So I've been, my sales knowledge is pretty basic. But I've been reading about hunters and farmers, right?
Yep. Good.
So your hunter would be your D, I would have thought,
Yep.
and then your farmer would be your I suppose.
Oh God, no,
No?
no.
No, what would a farmer be? Aren't they good people? I don't know, what would a farmer be then?
Farmer would be your S.
With S, right.
Yeah, stable,
People.
steady supporter.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
So generally speaking, you'd say these are good hunter-gatherers. These are nice. They're extrovert. They're not scared of people. They're themselves out. They speak their mind. They go out there. They get stuff. These people generally are more nurturers, and these people get bored very quickly.
Mhm.
So it's a case of, right, if it's a no, move on to the next one. If it's a no, move on to the next one. These people can be quite sort of, I'll take my time with these people. They need to be nurtured and they need to be brought on board over a period of time. They've got much more patience.
Cool.
Okay, so if we look at 4 types of salespeople that we have, that when you take people on, you tend to find that they fit into one of 4 categories. So we have the order taker. So this is the type of person that waits for someone to ask if they can buy. So what DIS profile do you think that type of person would be? A D, I, S, or C?
So they wait for, what do you mean wait for someone to ask if they can wait?
So basically they're sitting there, imagine it was a phone. Yeah, they'd sit there waiting for the phone to ring, and then they'd answer it, and they'd answer it really politely and say, yes, that's fine, we can serve you.
I can't remember the letters, but the bottom one, somewhere at the bottom.
The bottom right, the S.
Yeah.
It's a people person, so I'm going to be very sort of nurturing in my way, and I'll help you.
Mhm.
Okay. Then we've got, the product bore, but somebody who's really sort of understands the product, and can convey absolutely every single detail about the product.
Would that be your top left?
Bottom left.
Bottom left. Okay, got half of it right.
Okay, so that'll be your C type person. Yeah, so that's if you've got a very, very detailed product to sell, then you give it to sort of the product board type person.
All right. Very there. So when because in it says reserved and outgoing, so I suppose the reserved is reserved for a salesman type thing.
Reserved is, I say, reserved is a little bit shy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't put themselves out to strangers. But once they're amongst people they know, then you can't shut them up.
Right. Okay. I work with programmers, so programmers are sort of in the reserved scale from.
Hang on, your programmers will be in that C category. Logical thinkers, not really socially, skillful, a bit uncomfortable in those sort of situations. So naturally, you'd think they're rubbish salespeople.
Yeah.
Okay, but actually, when it comes to talking about the product and what it can do, they're actually very, very good.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, then we've got the overseller. So somebody who is able to sort of promise the world, sells you the dream. This is going to solve everything you could possibly, anything that's wrong, this will solve it. And the buyer buys into that. They go, bloody hell, that's what I want.
That's your top left, is it?
top right.
Top right.
Right.
So that's the inspirational, that's the I. You know, I'm going to inspire you to buy this.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, that's fantastic. Okay. The actual detail that what you can deliver probably is nothing like what that person's promised. Then
Right.
you've got the pushy seller. Yeah, the one that actually beats you down, you know, and keeps going relentlessly until you actually sign on the dotted line.
Top left.
Top left,
Go on.
excellent.
Yeah.
You keep saying top left long enough, Richard, you'll be
Yeah,
right.
I know, exactly.
Oh.
So you can see here that each of those profiles actually can be good sellers if that's what the sale requires. And in the sales process, it probably needs a bit of a pushy salesman. Because I need to get you to make a decision. It needs somebody to influence you. It needs somebody to show you the detail and the mechanics of how it works. And it needs somebody to actually listen to you and support you in the process. So the perfect salesperson actually is an element of all of those four. Okay, and I think you said, Jan, well, I'm not really any of that. I'm a bit of a blend of those four. So if you can be in each of the boxes, then the problem solver professionally helps customers to buy what they need. So I can sit there and I can ask you a question, I can listen. I've got the analytical mind to know the right solution. I can inspire you on the dream of where I want to take you, and I can actually be forceful enough to actually ask for the same. So if I've got a C-type person, if I've got an analytical, reserve type person, what I need to be able to do is actually for them not to be too analytical in their sales and actually learn some skills in the other three quadrants. If I've got a high D, I need to tone down sometimes that pushiness and get them to learn those other three quadrants.
So just in a big company where you have multiple salespeople, would they be looking to have very strong C's, very strong S's, and put them in different roles, doing different things? Or I can understand from a single person or a two-person team, they all need to be a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But in bigger companies, how does it work?
In bigger companies, they generally haven't got a clue. So they just chuck people at it, and you've got people that perform and people that don't perform. But I think you're once you see this, you start to think, well, actually, what you want is because the other thing is, if you're a high D type person, and so you're a high D customer, okay, so you're an extrovert, task-focused customer. Who do you like to buy from? What profile do you like to buy from?
D is, which one's D?
So I'll go back here. Okay, so if I'm a powerful, strong, outgoing, task-focused individual, who do I like buying from?
Yes, a similar person, I suppose.
A similar person. If I'm a high I, outgoing, inspirational type person, who do I like buying from?
Okay. Yeah.
See, we all like to buy from people like ourselves. C's like to buy from C's, S's like to buy from S's, I's like to buy from I's, D's like to buy from D's. If I'm a C selling to an I, what sort of problems am I going to face?
Yeah, I suppose the buyer will just steamroll the seer, the seller.
Yeah,
right?
or if I'm selling on detail, I'm going to bore this person senseless, and they're not going to buy from me. Likewise, if I'm an I selling to a C is going to want detail, and the I don't do detail. So either it's an ability to understand, you basically say, look, you're selling to a D, so we'll put our D salesperson onto that. So I can put you based on the type of industry or type of person that you're selling to. Or you have somebody who can be adaptable and move around and all of these depending on who they're talking to, or you send the D and the S out and the I and the C out.
Mhm.
So you make teams of, so you've got an outgoing extrovert influencer who's got a second in command, a C. And you've got the D and the S. So you basically work in pairs or teams that can actually deliver a more rounded package.
Okay.
And you see a lot of people who've made it, successfully in this. The high D person generally has a PA or a support staff who's the S, because I don't do the detail. I don't want to be doing the follow-up calls. You do the follow-up calls. I'm just going to go out there and get more sales.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's really creating the type of person that is needed in a certain industry. Because the other thing is, in your industry, Richard, you're going to be selling predominantly probably to D's and C's.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay, so if you chuck in I's and S's, they might be useful, but they might actually, not succeed particularly well when you're trying to talk to very high C type people. But that if I've got high C people selling to high C people, sometimes that process can be overcomplicated, and therefore you might need to build something into that process to speed it up. And this is why we say sales. It's a far more complicated thing than just sales. You've got to break it down into its component parts, look at who's selling, who's buying, what the industry is, and then just be aware of where this could go wrong. You'll never get the perfect sales team. Now, if I understand the type of people I've got and who they're selling to, then I know the sorts of challenges that might come up, and then I can train the team. When you get this sort of situation, this is what we do, and we could learn from where we are failures and actually, get it working better for us. Okay. It's 5:15, Richard. I'm just conscious you're.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for my wife. My wife basically is coming to pick me in the kids.
Oh, great, good. We'll keep going then, and then we'll see if we can squeeze through.
Yeah. She was supposed to be here 15 minutes ago, but she's a teacher. I don't know what's going on.
That's just as well we're not doing time management course.
Yeah.
So that's really, those are some key things about who do we need to be, what do we need to want, to work on our internal knowledge, attitude, and skills. Now we come into what do we need to do in order to sell. Now, the first thing, certainly for people who are got other hats to wear, the first thing is you've got to create time to sell. If you've got other things to do that potentially you're better at than sales, if sales isn't your, you're sort of in that unconscious incompetence sort of, that conscious incompetence stage where you can do it, but it's not the most enjoyable thing that you do, then it's going to be the frog that you eat last. You're going to be putting it off. So one thing I talk a lot about is creating a default diary. So a diary where you fit in time to do sales. So if you're doing client work, for a majority of the time, you build in time when you're going to do your sales calls, sales meetings. Don't let them fit in around the work, because it won't happen. There'll always be more work to do than you can ever get done. So you've got to put in spaces where it says, right, Monday afternoon, that's when I do my sales calls. That's when I go through HubSpot. That's when I pick up the phone. That's when I send emails. That's when I do my social media. Whatever it is diarised in, and you know exactly what you're going to do on Monday. There's no point in getting to 2 o'clock on Monday and going, right, sales. So what should I do then? I don't know. And then the phone rings because a client wants some work, and then you pick up the phone and suddenly you'll be doing that. Okay, so you've got to be able to create the space in which to do the activity. Obviously, if you've got sales teams that are just doing sales, then you'd be breaking that down to a bit more detail, saying, right, Mondays you should be doing your sort of your initial planning work. You know, Tuesdays you should be out seeing clients. Wednesdays you should be following up. Thursdays is more client meetings. Fridays more follow up. So you want to see their diary of what specifically their activity is going to be, rather than just, oh, I'm going to do some sales this week. Well, what specifically? When are you seeing clients? When are you doing your phone calls? When are you doing your follow-ups? You're building some structure into this so you can monitor it, and they can monitor it and say, well, is that working? Are you getting everything done? Is that actually allowing you to perform, or do you need more time or a different time in the day? I had one client, and in sales meetings in the afternoon, and he ran it for a couple of weeks, and he came back to me and said, been doing this, but to be honest, I get to 2 o'clock and I'm a bit exhausted. I'm in that sort of post-lunch sort of depressed mode, and I don't feel like picking the phone up. So I said, well, change it then. When have you got the most energy? He said, well, probably 10 o'clock in the morning. So I said, well, great, do it 10 till 12. Don't force yourself to do something, put something nice, something easy to do between 2 and 4. Yeah. Do it when your energy levels are at the highest. And I always go back to school timetables for this, as school children, what did they always put on a Wednesday afternoon when halfway through the week?
Yeah, sport.
Okay. It breaks the week up, gives you a bit of a boost. What was always Monday morning, first lesson?
Physics. Yeah.
Physics, double maths, double English. Okay, so we forget these things are done because they're tried and tested, and they're there for a reason.
Okay.
So we know better. So we've got to create that for ourselves.
Kevin, I've just got the text from my wife. I'm going to have to leave in about 3 or 4 minutes. So,
okay.
But
we'll do
is
one
this a
more.
good place? Okay.
Yes, probably not a bad place to break, actually, because I'm going to go into a bit more of sort of sales process now. There's sort of a natural break there.
Will you have a copy of this video? It's been super mega helpful.
Yeah. It's all recording, so you're on my Monday email list now, so you'll get the link on Monday. So.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been really, really helpful for me.
Okay.
Lovely to meet you, Jan.
Lovely to meet you too, Richard.
If I need a load of t-shirts, I shall give you a shout. I'm based in the Canary Islands, though, so it's tricky.
Very nice.
Jan will get to the Canaries. Even if she has to put them in a suitcase and come over.
Yeah.
There we go.
Anyway, thanks a lot.
Okay, cheers,
Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.
Oh, any questions on that? And is that
happy with it? None at all.
Excellent. Okay.
So basically, what this is actually really good for me, because this is a real confidence boost, because everything that you're going through makes me believe 100% why I was such a good sales recruiter.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was in recruitment, so I was in recruitment for like 12 years, Kevin, I didn't realize how sales driven the recruitment industry was back in the day. It's funny, my first sales training was when I got my first job at Brook Street, and that was in, I must have been 22, 23, something like that. And I remember so basically you had to it was like a pass or fail thing. If you didn't pass the residential training course, you didn't start in branch, And so basically we did like a graduation ceremony after the intensive however many weeks sales training. And they went around the group, and it was like, oh my God, the best salesperson and the most confident goes to blah, blah, blah. And at the time, Kevin, I remember being like quite offended because I didn't quite know how to take the comment that they said about me. And I remember Maxine said to Jan Railton, the one to watch out for longer term. And I was thinking, what the fucking hell does she mean by that? You know? And actually, like, you going through this now from a sales point of view makes me realise and understand why I was so good in that environment. You know? And actually, I miss it. It's making me realise that I miss selling.
Yeah.
Just going through this with you today.
Because it is, you know, when you're in that sort of team environment, you know, there is a real buzz with that, you know.
Oh my God, it's such high energy.
You know,
Yeah.
failure is, you know, we don't want to fail, but we know we're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And
it was so structured. It was like such structured. It was so KPI driven, you know, and the level of knowledge that you had to have in all these different industry sectors. It was that balance of those 4 quadrants, like what you've said, had to be spot on to be top of your game. And that's what I would love. That's what I would love my job to be in Blue Piranha.
Yeah.
I would love not to be in my role and just to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
I'd be in the element.
And if we could build, you know, if we could use that skill and then build a sales team that are out there that are doing exactly that, you know, because, you know, for any business, you know, sales and marketing is the lifeblood of the business. If you're not bringing new business in, yeah, you can be more profitable with what you've got. But if the market is there, you've got to build a machine that actually goes and gets it. And I think that's sometimes the issue is, you know, we're not thinking big enough and saying, actually, what could I take this to, and then building the structure around it that will actually help us get there. And certainly if you've got the skills in that side of things, then great. That's, you know, and also the passion, you know, you've got to have the skill and the passion for it.
Okay. Yeah.
So once we've created the space, the next thing we've got to start understanding is, you know, that prospects come in at different levels of buying potential. So this is a standard deviation. So we generally have, a small percentage who, as soon as the lead comes in, they're ready to buy. So that would be the sort of where the order taker would come in. So if your leads are coming in with that person ready to buy, then an order taker type person is perfect, because it's just, I want one of those. Great, let me deal with that. When we're marketing, so this is from a marketing sort of perspective, we'll always get an equal percentage that will just tell you to piss off.
Yeah,
they're never going to buy from you, no matter what you do. They're just not going to buy. So the key to marketing is really, it's a dequalification process. Let's clear out the people that are never going to buy from us. Let's not waste our time, going after those people. And then we've got people who are, positively on the fence, and people who are negatively on the fence. So sales, so marketing is purely a way of bringing these people in, and hopefully for us to identify where they fit on this curve. Sales then is about moving them from left to right.
Yeah.
How do we get them from, this off, there's no point, don't waste any time with those people. But people who are a little bit interested might be interested into ready to buy. How do we move them along here? Now, if you can imagine, you're getting loads and loads of leads of people. My pen works. Oops, no. Okay, but we get loads and loads of people who are here. So marketing is bringing lots and lots of mildly interested people.
Is that typically the place where all marketing kind of picks up.
No.
I think that's where the biggest part of the net is, in that area there.
I mean, the biggest part is here, is both. Yeah. Now, depends on the marketing strategy and the pond you're fishing in.
Yeah.
As to what the real percentages are. But let's say your marketing was only bringing in people down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's that, then your sales team needs to be extremely good at nurturing and bringing people through. Because you've got to understand that's going to take time and effort to move people along here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking essentially at my marketing going, our marketing is not quite targeted enough because it should be looking for more people up here.
Okay.
We might need to tweak the marketing message, change the marketing to different areas. Okay. If our marketing is purely trying to find these people here ready to buy, yeah, and what will happen is your number of leads you get in is going to be quite small.
Yeah.
So what we want is our marketing net to be as wide as possible. Be trying to get these might be interested and then have a sales process that can move them along this line.
Yeah.
The way that we move them along this line is a little process from, I think I said in the book, is a guy called Tom Hopkins, who came up with this concept in his Sell It Today, Sell It Now, Mastering the Art of the one call close. Now, he used it in a one call close, but I think it's much bigger than that and can be applied to even sales processes that last months. So it's the same process. It's just he tried to condense it down into into one stage, which is great if you can do that. But for a lot of us, we can't do it in one. So the first thing is we've got to build trust. People are never going to buy from us if they don't trust us. Once we've got enough trust, then our job is to identify their need. So what is their real need to buy what we're selling? So what's their problem that we're overcoming? If somebody contacts you and says, I need some branded polo shirts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you just take that need and say, oh yeah, we do branded polo shirts, and then you say, right, there you go, the price will be 600 quid.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, let me think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's purely because you've not understood their need.
Yeah.
Their need is not branded polo shirts.
Mm-hmm.
What is their true need?
Yeah, I get that.
And the only way that we do that is by asking questions.
Yeah.
Once we know what their need is, and actually it's not us to know their need, it's them to know their need. So my sort of analogy of this is, let's say you're, I'm a doctor and you're a patient, okay, and you've got a really bad shoulder. It's been keeping you up all night. You've not slept for months, and you've been referred to me as a top consultant. You come into my surgery, you walk through the door, and I say, look, before you even sit down, I know exactly what's wrong with you. Yeah. I'm a world-renowned shoulder surgeon. Yeah, I know what's wrong with you. Take 3 of these 3 times a day for the next 3 weeks and you'll be fine. Off you go. Yeah, I've identified the need. I know exactly what you need, and I'm the best in the world, and I've given you these tablets to help you. Mm-hmm. How do you feel as my patient?
I don't feel like you've understood me, and you've just, it's whitewash. I feel like I've been whitewashed at this point.
Yeah, but I'm the best in the world. I'd see thousands and thousands of patients.
I don't really care about that, Kevin.
Exactly. Yep. And that's what happens in a lot of sales, where we get the order comes in early and we go, oh yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Here's 5 t-shirts, you know, off you go.
Yeah, I understand.
So if we really understand their need, you know, so okay, so what is it about t-shirts that you need? What are you trying to do? What's important for you? Where's your pain? Where's your vision of what life looks like? And then it's a case on basis of what we've talked about, this I think is the best solution.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we take the patient role, I ask you to come in, you sit down, you know, Jan, tell me about the pain. How does it hurt? What impact is it having on your life?
Mhm.
You know, and I would probably push it a couple of times and go, does that hurt? Does that hurt? And you go, ow, oh God, that hurts. Oh yeah, okay, we'll take 3 of those 3 times a day for the next 3 weeks, you'll be fine.
Mhm.
Now what do you think about my diagnosis?
Well, I feel like you understand me a bit more at this point. So, you know, I feel like I'm open to listening to how you are going to make that better at this point.
And that's really all this process is doing.
I know.
There's enough trust that I can then ask you the difficult questions. I ask you enough questions to get down to some emotion, because buying decisions are based on emotion backed up by logic. And then I come in with, this is what we need to do to help. And then how do we actually, the hurry then is, right, let's get to a point where you make a decision. So in the book, he has a 20-point process that reduces buyers' resistance, yeah, and increases their acceptance. So trust, there's a number of areas here about trust building, the need identification, problem solving in here, then how do we help, and then how do we close?
Okay, so straight away, this is kind of, I think this is like maybe what the bones of like a lot of the sales training that I've had in the past has been based on.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the, you know, the sales resistance side of things, that's kind of, it's a given. That's just like, that's in me brain and always is in me brain. And then what I tend to do as far as the sales acceptance side is concerned is when I'm totally on it from a sales point of view, is I put together what I call a commitment ladder.
Yep.
So after I investigate the client, so before I even go in, I've got like the general bones of all the questions which, you know, I feel like I need answers to in order to match my products to their needs, my product and service to their needs. But then what I also do is I have kind of like a commitment ladder. So the first thing will just be to call them, and then it'll be, you know, agreeing for a call back, and then it might be, you know, getting some swatches together for them, going out and meeting them, maybe getting a sizing set so they can kind of trial the garments themselves, you know, various different things. And as we go up the ladder, I'm getting more and more commitment from them.
Sure.
To the point that, like, you know, I sell.
Yeah. So when you get to the close,
Mm-hmm.
it should be easy. It should be, you've done so much work here and here,
Yeah.
close is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of people don't do any of this, and that's why they find closing difficult.
So to me, a close is just, I probably know, maybe not for certain, definitely, but like when I'm up halfway up the sales acceptance side of the thermometer, I know that they're going to buy from it, and if they don't, I'm bloody disappointed. A third of the way up, I've got a good gauge for, is this a goer or is it not?
Yep.
You know, and and you kind of then, based on that, depends on really the frequency of, you know, when the next step's going to be as well.
Yeah.
So you gauge that as well.
Yeah. So I think that the key now then is, because you've done this training, you understand this, is to create the blue piranha process. And so like your version of this, like your ladder, so that we can bring in salespeople to actually run this, you know, run this for you.
Yeah.
Because if we can have a team of people that are following your process, and
I think that would be an
this,
excellent idea, Kevin.
then our scalability, because we don't have a problem with supply. We don't have to build a manufacturing machine to supply more. We could supply as much as we can get in. So we really are a sales machine. So if we can build it and then ramp it up, then we're going to get growth a lot quicker. So if we look at each of these areas, then trust is about empathy. Kevin,
can you just quickly go back to that slide 1 second for us? Why not just quickly?
Yeah.
Right, I'm done.
Okay. So trust is, how do we build empathy? How do we build a connection with the people we're talking to? Yeah, and that's, this is what I's and S's are very good at. I's and S's are very good at empathetic sort of understanding of the people they're working with. C's and D's are challenged with empathy. They're logically brained people. They don't build trust and relationships quite well. So a salesperson can come across as quite blunt and not great at that. So this is why it's a balance of saying, well, if I've got a high D, or a C salesperson, then they need to work on their empathy skills, their listening skills, their connection skills. And we use, you can go into, you've probably done a bit of this, but the way we communicate builds trust. So the words that we use, our voice, our tonality, and body language. So communication, when I'm communicating with somebody, actually the words I use is only 7%. So people get tied up with, will I say the right things?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually doesn't matter. As long as the tonality is there and the body language backs it up, then you'll generally get away with it. Doesn't mean it should be wrong, but a lot of introverted people get very tied up and don't say things because, I get worried about what I'm going to say. And that's why we say a lot, when you're doing something, have a script, follow the script. The problem with a script is if you read it as a script, you come across as being really, unengaging, because your voice, your tonality isn't there. And if you're on the phone, there's no body language, so you're reliant totally on the words you say. And if you say one word wrong, you've lost the relationship.
Yeah. Ultimately, it boils down to they're not going to remember what you said, but they're going to remember how you made them feel.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So that whole, if again, this is going back to a bit of marketing, telemarketing as opposed to telesales. Telemarketing is always difficult because it's a completely cold first communication. So that as soon as you speak to somebody, their back is going to be up, their defenses are going to be up, and you've got to work quite hard because you don't have any body language, so you've got to work really hard on your voice, and tonality to overcome this. This is why I frustrated when I get a call from a foreign person actually doing that cold calling. Having said that, when I get a call by a Scottish person or an Irish person whose voice and tonality is really mellow, it's brilliant. They are great initial telemarketers. Brummies don't work particularly well. So it's not, you have to be careful not to be racist, but there's certain voices that work really well in this situation and others don't.
Yeah.
So just because
it's a reason why Amazon have got a majority of call centers in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And my God, do I love calling Amazon.
Yeah.
Because I have a good crack with the people on the phone and they're so lush to deal with.
Yeah. So this is where it comes down to, again, we're looking here for marginal gains? Can I be 5-10% better? Yeah, and if it comes back to I take this person on with this tonality and this person with this tonality, yeah, it makes a difference.
I need to relocate back to the northeast, don't I?
So, well, look, I mean, if the northeast accent
I need to
works,
ship the buggers down, Kevin.
well, we can have. It doesn't matter where our sales team are because it's all phone and virtual, isn't it? This is the beauty, I think, of the way the world is now. You know, I think there's less drive to be face to face. We can be remote. We can do this far more than we ever could. I mean, Richard's whole of his business is on the Canary Islands.
Yeah, I do, from experience, I do believe that salespeople typically work better within a team, and a team needs to be managed.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that would be quite difficult to do remotely. I think you're going to get the best out of a sales team by managing them in person.
Okay. I'm sure you can entice a few northerners down to our sunny coast.
Or maybe I just need to give elocution lessons.
Learn how to speak Geordie lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've been trying to teach my daughter for the last 16 years. That hasn't worked.
Oh dear. So trust, you know, another part of trust is be the authority. You know, people are looking for people who have confidence, you know, who have the presence in the marketplace. Now, some of our marketing can do that to start with, but throughout the process, you know, we've got to show that competency and credibility, and the fact that, you know, we are the experts in this. Obviously, the higher the ticket price, the more authority we need. The lower the ticket price, the less we need. So it needs to be appropriate for what we're working on. And I think I said this before, but you know, we've got to remember that buying decisions, most people think they're logical. You know, we buy on price, we buy on logical things. Yeah. Reality is, you know, emotion takes a bigger part of this. The logic brain is our neocortex. It's our strongest part of our brain, but it's actually quite slow. You know, the majority of decisions, and they reckon it's 80% is on emotion. The Brian Tracy book at the moment, he's saying that it's 100% emotion. You know, all decisions are emotional. They're just backed up by logic. Because you can't, logically you can think things through. Emotionally, you can't think it through. Emotionally, you're either engaged with it or you're not engaged with it. Okay, but you know, I think that does vary in what you're buying, what you're selling. You know, so if it's a commodity, yeah, the emotion that you put into that buying decision is quite low. Okay, if it's something special, then that emotion is quite high. And that's why the need identification is so important, because you need to understand what's the emotion driving this purchase. If it's just somebody that said, you know, a boss that said, order me 20 t-shirts with, you know, branded t-shirts to a junior, you know, there's no emotion in their buying decision. They're just going to go, well, I've been told to buy 20 t-shirts. I just need to buy 20 t-shirts.
So I think, because this is obviously just, it's got me thinking about my own business. I think that's why my client retention is so high.
Yep.
You know, because my clients like us, I do understand their needs. They know I care. you know, I keep in touch. I've been out to see a lot of them. And I've got that relationship based on emotion, but backed up by logic. And the more that I'm going through this course with you today is, you know, we both know that internet sales are going through the roof. You know, the traditional method of
Yeah.
sales is very much a dying breed, you know. Thinking about it, three of the biggest suppliers that I deal with, you know, they started their businesses based on selling out the back of a van.
Yeah.
You know, and they're market leaders in their fields now. And they went out and they met people and they had a bit of a crack with people. And people don't change, Kevin. And the more that we're going through this today is making me believe that, okay, so yes, I'm still going ahead with the website, and yes, I'm going to have a presence on social media, but it's reinforcing the fact that I've never wanted to move away from traditional sales. You know, because based on everything that we've gone through today, it works.
Yeah. I think that you know, this is where you've got to have sales and marketing are separate. You know, so marketing, you need multiple channels going out there, getting the best, most cost-effective way to find a lead. Once you've got the lead, then sales is sales. That's, you know, can it be done? Yes, it can be done online, but you've got to build the website, you've got to build the buying portal to generate as much of this as you can. But yeah, I mean, you'll know it as well as I do that, I mean, it started with this sort of telephone answering system, you know, the press 1 for this, press 2 for that. You know, most people hate that.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to a person. I don't want to sit here and press a button. So in today's world, I think, you know, you should bin all of those, you know, even if you have to outsource it to, you know, Indonesia. And somebody says, you know, hi, you know, Jan here from, you know, Blue Piranha, how can I help you? Oh, great. I'd like to speak to somebody in sales, please. Great. I'll put you through.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think it is going to change because we are emotional beings. The more that we're forced to buy online and buy without emotion, the more we crave the emotion. We crave connection.
Yeah.
So I think there is a place for it, you know, but I think there's also a place for, you know, the relationships and actually having, you know, those communications. So if we're looking to overcome this resistance, you know, we're basically, if R is our resistance to change, our resistance to buy from you, first steps is what do I actually need to, what do we need to do to move forwards? Main thing in getting somebody to move is the dissatisfaction, the vision, the D and the V. Either somebody is dissatisfied with where they are and they want to move away from it, or they have a vision of where they want to go and they want to move towards it. And this is really the key to need identification is what is your dissatisfaction? What is your vision? So I go back to the medical thing, you know, I need to poke your arm, yeah, to prove that you are dissatisfied with the pain in your arm. I need to ask you questions about how much sleep you're not getting. Then I could ask questions about, you know, what would you do if you had no pain? What would that mean to you? So you're now creating a vision of life with this thing, you know, and also a pain of if I don't do something, then I'm still going to have this pain. If I can build that up enough, then the first steps is, you know, take 3 of these 3 times a day. Yeah, great, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way we identify that need is, you know, we ask a question, they answer. We ask a question, they answer. We ask a question, they answer. We keep asking questions. We dig deeper into what's the emotion, what's going to happen, and then eventually they will ask you a question. Yeah. Once you've got the emotion, they can't take any more. They'll ask you a question, and then you can say, well, the answer is, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And if we do that, sales is easy. I mean, was my revelation, that I don't have to sell things to people. I just need to ask enough questions to a point where they go, how can you help me? And I just go, okay, well, we do this, this, and this. And as soon as I realized I don't have to sell, all the pressure of selling, came off. Now, I get people where I ask these questions and we don't get to a point of emotion, they're not prepared to go there, or there isn't any emotion, then I know that they're not going to go ahead with the sale. Now, if I review my, some of them, perhaps I didn't ask the right question, perhaps I didn't go deep enough. That I can review that and learn from mistakes. But I know that when I do this, and I do get to that emotion, then, conversion rate is up there in the 80%. So if we're looking now at showing how we can help them, again, this is a neuro-linguistic programming technique. We know that some people are visual people. Okay, some people are auditory people, some people are kinesthetic people. And the average stats are 40% of the population are visual, 20% are auditory, and 40% are kinesthetic. So I'm a visual kinesthetic. So my auditory is quite low. So if you tell me stuff, and I don't write it down, I forget it.
Yeah.
Okay, so people can tell me, I can listen to the lyrics of a song, 100 times, and until I feel the music, I won't remember any of the lyrics. Or I need to see it visually. That's why I used to love records, because I could actually record and read the lyrics on the back of a record.
Yeah.
I'm screwed now with bloody downloads. I've got no idea what they're singing about. So I know that I'm a visual. So I like to see things. I like to experience them, touch them, feel them. So if you want to sell to me, you've got to show me. Okay. Now I was with a guy yesterday who talked at me, trying to sell me this thing, and he talked at me, and at the end of it, even though I was quite interested in the product, at the end of it, I sort of could catch myself and go, I've got no idea what you just talked about. I've no idea whether I want it or not. You weren't able to get me to a point of, that's what I want. Okay. So we've got to understand, again, not only a disc profile of our potential customers, but also, their VAC, can also play a part as well. So if we find that we're not getting sales, it might be like, are we showing them enough, or have we got enough visual content? I mean, the good thing with your product is it's a very visual product, and so that's why it worked for me. Was I can see the t-shirts. I mean, what I would have really loved was
was to feel them.
To feel it, because I'm thinking, but it might not feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, I'm going to hate this.
Which is why I do like to go out and see people with samples, particularly the bigger clients.
So it's brilliant. So look, part of our product, to make sure this is totally right with you, you need to feel and look and touch the product. You can't do that online. That's the service that we bring, and why you buy from us, and you don't buy this online. And then the hurry side of things. oops, is we're trying to get somebody to change their state from either using a competitor, not buying our stuff, to buying it. And sometimes that change of state is actually, in their mind, is quite a turbulent thing. Go back to that resistance. If that resistance is quite high, or I might let my previous supplier down that I've known for years, or what if I move over to Blue Piranha and they let me down?
Yeah, I think often it's better the devil you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever we're currently doing, then we might stay with that. So it's a little bit like changing, a pan of water into steam. That transition of state from liquid into gas is a pretty turbulent time. So we apply heat and pressure, which is the initial sales meeting. So we're applying heat and pressure at that initial sales meeting, and we want to turn that liquid into steam. In other words, we want them to change their way of working. When they get to this point, they get what we call perturbation. Have I done the right thing? Oh, I don't know. I feel perturbed. I feel a bit uneasy. That thought drives the feeling, drives the action. So if that feeling is a negative one, not one of excitement, then what can happen is I can go, oh, I'm not too sure about this. Now, if I'm not too sure, what happens is water wants to sort of revert back to its previous state. And in the sales process, if you've got somebody that is thinking about it or unsure, what most salespeople do is they take the heat and pressure off. Okay, yeah. I'll let you think about it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they don't phone back because they're fearful, of rejection. If I phone back and they say no, then I don't have my sales this week. Okay. So what we've got to be clear is we need to continue some form of heat pressure in this in order to get them through. Either get them through or get them off.
Yeah.
And I find so many, when I review sales pipelines with salespeople, and I've put my hand up, I've done it myself, is you go through it and there are so many dead ducks there. You say, well, why is that one there? Oh, yeah, but but is it going to come? No, it's not going to come to anything, is it?
So with me, this happens, and it is purely it's time. And I know I keep, and you probably want to like bang me head against the wall at this point, Kevin. But like I do need another pair of arms and legs in here, because it really pisses me off that I can't find the time to dedicate, because I know all of this and I know you've got to keep on and on and on and on. And you run the risk that, well, actually not run the risk, you are going to piss some people off. It's going to be, oh my God, it's her again.
Yep.
But it's that continued effort that brings results.
So, you always ask permission. So, look, I appreciate you've got to think about it. So, is it okay if I give you a call in a week's time?
Yeah.
And they'll generally say yes. And then you told me to phone up next week. So I'm just phoning up because that's what you told me to do. Oh, yeah. Okay. But at some point, you can ask the question, look, are you really going to do this? Because while I'm quite happy to keep chasing you, I don't want to piss you off and I don't want to waste my time. So either we're going to do this, or we're not going to do this. And if you found the emotion in the sales process, then you just hit them with the emotion. Well, when we talked, you said that this was the most important thing. Has that changed? Or should we just get on and do it?
Yeah.
So but we've got to follow up, speed is the essence. And the big thing, and I think good salespeople know this, that look, a no is not now, or it's just a no now, but it's not a no never.
Yeah.
And that's why I think one of the books was Getting to Know. What I want to do is I want you to get to a point where you're going to say no, because if you say no, I can move on.
Yeah.
Getting to yes takes a lot longer, but getting to no could be quite quick. And then I can put you back into the nurture pot. It doesn't mean we stop communicating to you, and you can sit there and you can sort of, hobble along until you're ready again. And this is a little stat that why people don't close, which I thought was quite nice. That 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect, 25% don't make a second contact, 12% of people make 3 contacts, and only 10% make more than 3 contacts. Yet 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact.
Yeah.
And as you said, that takes time. If we don't have that, and also it takes a system. If we don't have a way to remind us when to phone people up, then they don't get phoned up. And if we don't create time to do it, they don't get phoned up. And to be honest, it could actually be something you could outsource. You could give a VA, here's a list of 20 clients. Can you phone them up? Here's the script. Can you ask them if they want to buy it? We can, at this stage, because it is purely a follow-up, we can outsource that if we need to. And that's the key to this, is how do we keep the sales process going? We have to systemize it. Because the systems allow you freedom, allow you consistency. We can measure it, and we can train other people. We can, hold people accountable to it, and it can be replicated. So when we come to that sales process, what we're trying to do is actually document it, write it down, and that's where really the CRM system comes in. Is to have a CRM that allows us to process that from the lead right the way through to, the nurture pipeline, but also the sale as well. And that's why I think, for you, you've got Salesforce, it's, I think it is on here somewhere, it is one of the world leaders. It is a good system. Yes, it is expensive, but you've invested some time already in it. And on the scale of things, then you may as well use that one. But mapping the process before you put it into Salesforce is key. Actually writing down, these are my stages. So I know where clients are in each stage of that process, so I can track them, I can move them forwards, backwards, and I know where everybody is and what I need to do next. And if you map that, you have the process, then for each area, you can put scripts in, you can put checklists in. Have we done this? Yes. Have I got a script for the initial call, the follow-up call? Have I got a template for this part? Because ultimately we want to be able to delegate the whole process to other people. It shouldn't just be around, our job as business owners is to create the system and then to pass it over to others. If the only people that can ever sell is us, then we're destined to be running our business forever.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions?
Yeah, so from a qualified database point of view, are there any particular forms of, any particular companies that you would recommend as far as, getting the list of qualified leads?
There's all sorts of places you can get lead lists from. There are dedicated data companies who, that's what they do. They buy data, they cleanse it, and then they sell it to other people.
Yeah.
Obviously, with GDPR you've got to go to the reputable ones.
Yeah.
That these people have opted in for, to be contacted. I'm still not 100% sure they can be legit, but if you're buying it from a legit company, you've got proof that you have done this.
Mm-hmm.
So you can buy sets of data. You can go directly to company's house. You can pull data off company's house. You can get trade magazines. You can work with strategic partners. So there might be somebody that also supplies that particular client base, and you can get them to market for you. So there's a number of ways, depending on who you're going for. You try and find 2 or 3 ways to actually get that data.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you said, because I know one of yours is care homes, you'd say, right, what's the quickest way to get a list of care homes?
Oh,
So,
I do so many things myself and have done.
Yeah.
But I've never actually purchased the cleanse data from any of the bigger boys.
Yeah.
Although I've been contacted by a few over the years.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, but it can work out quite costly, Kevin, can't it? I just wondered how kind of qualified the data is.
All I would say is test and measure. It does. I couldn't say hand on heart it works. I did one for another client. She was going after finance directors, and it was about 300 quid for a couple of thousand names, so not overly expensive.
Yeah.
And we got a really good response rate. They were email addresses, and we got a good open rate and a good hit rate, and actually got a client on the back of it. So it can work, but I would say be careful and test it. Get a small amount of data, test it, see what comes of it, and then if you like it, then buy more of it.
Yeah. Okay.
The key to buying it is basically you're saving yourself time.
Well, this is exactly what I'm thinking.
And I thought, 300 quid, for a couple of thousand names, it would probably take you a week to populate that. So let's give it a go.
Yeah, because it can take a lot of time to source it yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We're doing a marketing campaign, and we can't buy the data, so we're having to actually use company's house to actually pull that data, and we can get probably around about 20 done a week.
Okay.
So, but we're outsourcing a lot of that work to get that done. So I'd say big volumes, buy it. Small volumes, do it yourself.
Yeah. No, that's it, Kevin. Basically, it's been great today, and it's just, it's nothing that I didn't know, but it's just kind of like it's just fired something in me.
Yeah.
Kind of just I knew taking the new person on is the right thing, but just going through this today, it's reinforced all of that.
Yeah.
I just want to get going with that so I can kind of get back on, because it's kind of ignited that drive in me just to actually get on and do it.
And the good thing with sales is, salespeople, it should be pretty clear whether they're paying for themselves or not. This is your target. This is what you've got to do. Can you do it? And if you keep the score on a daily, weekly basis, then they know if they're performing or not. So home fun, make sure that we know what the 5 ways are, what the numbers are, and then break that down and set the goals. Are there any limiting beliefs? Are there any areas that you think that need some work? And then really focus on that sales process based on trust, need, help, hurry, and look at it and say, are we building enough trust? Are we really identifying the needs? Are we actually, showing them how we can help as clearly and efficiently as possible? And is our follow-up up to scratch. And then, yeah, it's like, you know, it's, yeah, even if you know it, there's always one, you know, an area you can improve by a small amount. And this is, you know, a lot of this is just marginal gains. You know, pick one area this quarter, improve it. Next quarter, improve another area. Constantly be thinking it's not good enough, so what could I do better? And then if you do that, then you never get left behind, and you'll always be looking to maximize the potential within the organization. Good.
Yep.
Well, great to have you along. And I do this every quarter, so in 3 months' time, you know, don't be scared to come back because it will all be slightly different depending on who's on the call. And there's always something, you know, you'll pick up at a different level as well. So, and yeah, if any of the team want to come onto it, more than happy to have team members come along as well.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. Have a good evening. And
right. You too. I'm going to go home quickly get changed and get the yoga for 7:15. So have a lovely evening, and say hi to Jane for us.
Will do. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye, Kevin. Bye.